Hi there, friends. My name is Mojo, a proud and fluffy 10-pound Pomeranian with a big heart and an even bigger job. I'm a service dog in training. I get to travel with my pop, Jonathan, who is not just my best friend, but also the founder of Warrior Golf Academy. Together, we're on a mission to support veterans, first responders, and the adaptive golf community, one fairway at a time. Warrior Golf Academy isn't just about golf. It's about creating opportunities, building connections, and making life more accessible for those who face unique challenges. Whether we're hosting events, training future caddies, or just sharing a smile on the course, we're all about turning obstacles into stepping stones. As Pop's service animal, my job is to help him stay calm, focused, and ready to tackle whatever the day brings. I love being part of this adventure, and through these stories, I hope to share our experiences, life lessons, and a little wag of joy with you. Thanks for joining us. Let's dive into our latest adventure. The world had never felt this heavy before. Pop, my human, my anchor, my everything, had been taken away. The holidays were supposed to be filled with warmth and cheer, but all I felt was the cold weight of his absence. I didn't understand all those complicated human words, but I'd heard enough. Behavioral health? Veteran ward? Hospital? Words packed with fear and worry, lingering in the air like a storm cloud that refused to break. Pop had always been my rock. When I was scared, he'd hold me close, his steady voice and strong hands making the world feel safe again. But now, he wasn't here. I could still smell him on his favorite chair, the faint trace of his aftershave, and the way he always smelled like the outdoors. But the emptiness around me was deafening.
He seemed fine.
One said, her voice cracking.
He just needs time.
Another voice, deeper and more frustrated, added,
He was in the army. This should be easy for him.
Easy? Time? These weren't things I could grasp, not in the way they meant. All I knew was the ache in my chest and the unbearable silence that had replaced Pop's laughter. He wasn't fine. He wasn't here. And the worst part? I didn't know how to bring him back. I sat in the middle of the quiet living room, my ears perked and my tail twitching, as if every sound might be him coming through the door. I stared at the window, willing him to appear, but the world outside was cold and still. What could I do? I'm just a dog, a tiny speck in a world full of big human problems. But deep down a spark ignited, a stubborn, unshakable feeling. Pop had always been strong for me. When I was scared, when I felt small, he made me believe I was brave. Now, it was my turn. I may be small, I thought, my chest puffing with determination, but Pop needs me, and I won't let him down. The holidays are tough on so many people, but for Pop, they were something more. An unspoken battle he thought he had to fight alone. He didn't, though. I'd find him. I'd remind him that he was never alone. Because no matter how heavy the world felt, love could always carry the weight. In the middle of my spiraling thoughts, another familiar scent wafted in through the open window. Melly, the Chihuahua. She was only 2 pounds of fur and attitude, but she was wise beyond her years. If anyone could help me, it was her. I barked out the window, calling her name, and soon enough, there she was, perched on the back fence like the tiny queen she was. "What's all the noise about, Mojo?" she yipped, her voice sharp, but kind. I poured my heart out to her. "Melly, I don't know what to do. Pop is gone, and I don't know how to help him. He's always been the strong one, always the one who takes care of me, and now he's not okay." My voice quivered as I paced in circles, tail tucked low. "I heard him on the phone, Melly. He said he's in the hospital, something about being in a ward. He sounded tired, not like himself. I could feel it, his sadness, his worry. I'm supposed to protect him, Melly, but how can I do that if I'm not there? What if he thinks I gave up on him? What if he needs me right now and I'm here doing nothing? I looked at her, my eyes wide, pleading. I keep thinking about the good days, the mornings when he'd wake up before the sun and call me his little sergeant. We'd sit by the water and he'd throw the ball, laughing when I'd bring it back covered in sand. I remember how he held me close that time I got scared during a storm, calming me, saying,
Mojo, it's okay, buddy, I've got you. We got this.
Now he's the one who's scared. And I'm not there to whisper back, Melly, what if he's lonely? What if he thinks no one cares? What if he forgets how much he means to me, to everyone? I stopped pacing, my paws trembling. I just want to make him happy again. I don't care how big the city is or how far I have to go. He's my pop, Melly. I can't lose him. Not now, not ever. Melly listened in silence, her head tilted, her little ears twitching with every word. When I finally stopped, exhausted and raw, she let out a soft sigh.
Órale, Mojito. You've always been strong. You've always had a fire in you. Your pop needs that fire now more than ever. You're not just his service dog. You're his lifeline, Chico. Remember the good times, the moments that made you both fight for each other. Let those memories guide you.
Her words lit a spark in me. I thought back to the early days with Pop, the way he'd laugh when I'd spin in circles chasing my tail, the long walks we'd take where he'd talk to me about everything and nothing, the nights I'd lay by his side feeling his heartbeat steady as he whispered. Those memories were my fuel, my compass. But how do I find him? I asked, desperation creeping into my voice.
Follow your notes.
You keep me going, Mojo.
Melly said simply,
And trust your heart, Mojito. Ahora. Vaya con Dios.
The dawn broke quietly, casting a pale golden light over the city. I slipped on my vest, the one that told the world I had a purpose. It wasn't just fabric, it was my armor, my declaration. I wasn't just a dog, I was Pop's service dog, and today I had a mission. I would find him, no matter what. The journey was daunting. Every step felt like stepping into the unknown, but I couldn't stop. The trail of Pop's scent was faint, almost swallowed by the overwhelming chaos of the city, but it was there. It was my compass, pulling me forward. I reached the river just as the afternoon sun began to dip, turning the water into a glimmering ribbon of gold. The current was fierce, churning with determination as if it dared anyone to challenge it. My paws froze for a moment, my heart pounding in my chest. There was no way to swim across. The water was too wild, too strong. I searched frantically for another way. That's when I saw it. A thin, metal pipe stretching across the river like a tightrope. It was rusted and narrow, barely wide enough for my paws, but it was the only way. A memory surfaced, unbidden. I was just a pup then, chasing Pop along the edge of a lake. He'd laughed as I hesitated at a wobbly wooden bridge, the gaps between the planks showing the rushing water below.
You can do it, Mojo.
He'd said, crouching down and patting the ground on the other side.
Trust yourself. You're braver than you know.
That memory felt like a lifeline now, a whisper of courage as I stepped onto the pipe. It wobbled beneath my weight, and the roar of the river filled my ears, but I didn't stop. One paw in front of the other, I moved forward, my eyes fixed on the far side. The world seemed to shrink to just the pipe and me. A gust of wind tried to shake my balance, and for a moment fear clawed at me. I froze, my paws trembling, but then Melly's words came back to me.
You've got heart and focus. Use them, Chico.
I thought of Pop's laughter, the way his hand felt on my fur when he called me his good boy. I thought of all the times he'd been there for me, steady and strong. If he could do that for me, I could do this for him. I pressed on, my paws gripping the cold metal as I edged forward. Below, the river churned, but I didn't look down. Step by step, I made it across. My paws touched solid ground, and I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. I'd done it. I'd crossed the river. There was no turning back now. The city didn't make it easy. There were squirrels darting across sidewalks, their bushy tails twitching, daring me to chase them. Lizards skittered up walls, their tiny feet moving like lightning. My instincts screamed to follow, to run, to play, but Melly's words echoed in my mind.
You're more than instincts, Mojito. You've got heart and focus. Use them.
So I pressed on. The streets were crowded with people bustling to and fro. Some glanced at me with curiosity, others ignored me completely. A man eating a sandwich dropped a piece of bread and I nearly stopped, my nose twitching at the smell. But I shook my head. Pop's scent, pulling me back to focus. At one point, I reached a park filled with children laughing and playing. A ball rolled toward me, and for a split second, I thought of chasing it. Pop had always loved watching me run after balls. But this wasn't playtime, not today. I nudged the ball back toward the children and kept moving, my paws pounding against the pavement. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the buildings. My legs ached, and my heart felt heavy with worry, but then I caught it. Pop's scent, stronger than before. It was here, lingering in the air around a large building. I lifted my head, my ears perking up as hope surged through me. I had found him. The hospital loomed before me, its glass doors gleaming under the evening sky. My heart raced as I pushed through, my paws slipping on the smooth floors. The humans inside were startled, their voices loud and sharp as they tried to stop me.
Hey, where'd this dog come from?
Don't look at me, Bob.
Let's grab him.
But I didn't care. Pop was close. I could feel it. I followed the trail, weaving through hallways, dodging feet and rolling carts. My determination was unshakable, a fire that burned brighter with every step. Then, finally, I saw him. Pop sat on the other side of a glass door, his shoulders slumped and his eyes staring at the floor. He looked so different, smaller, as if the weight of the world had pressed him into himself. My heart ached at the sight of him. I barked, spinning and jumping, my paws hitting the glass. "Pop! It's me! I'm here!" I called out, my voice filled with desperation and love. But he didn't hear me. His eyes didn't lift. His expression didn't change. Panic set in. My bark grew louder, more frantic. "Pop, look at me, please. I came all this way for you." My paws scratched at the glass as tears welled in my eyes. For the first time, I truly understood what it felt like to be unseen, unheard. This must be what it's like for others who have no voice, to scream and cry and have the world pass you by, indifferent and unhearing. The thought was unbearable. The ache in my chest felt like it might break me. But I couldn't give up. Not now. I barked again, louder, sharper, as if the force of my love could shatter the glass. "Pop, please, it's me. Don't leave me." My paws thudded against the cold surface, over and over, my cries echoing in the quiet hallway. And then, something happened. Pop's head lifted, his weary eyes searching. For a moment, it was as if the world stopped. Recognition flickered in his gaze, and then, something else. Hope.
Mojo?
He whispered, his voice so soft I barely heard it through the thick glass. But I felt it. My tail wagged furiously, and I let out a whimper of relief. "Yes, Pop, it's me! I'm here!" My paws thudded against the door again, my body shaking with urgency. Pop stood slowly, as if the weight of the world was still pressing on his shoulders, but his eyes never left mine.
You found me?
He said, his voice cracking with emotion. Yes, I did. I'll always find you, Pop." Just when I thought I couldn't bark another word, A familiar voice broke through the chaos.
Oye, Mojito.
I turned, my heart leaping, as I saw Melly. She was standing tall, or as tall as a 2-pound chihuahua could stand, flanked by Pop's family. Her tiny frame radiated strength as she gave me a knowing look.
Mira, chico.
Melly said, her voice steady and calm.
You didn't have to do it alone, Mojito. You needed Melly, and we came. Community and friendship. Chico, it's all we have, and it's everything we need. Pop's family surrounded him, their love wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Tears and laughter mixed as they hugged him tightly, promising that he'd never be alone again.
As we left the hospital together, I felt something shift. Pop wasn't fixed, none of us were, but he wasn't alone anymore. And neither was I. That Christmas, the house was alive with joy. The scent of pine filled the air, and the soft glow of twinkling lights bathed the room in warmth. Laughter echoed, and the sound of wrapping paper being torn open brought a smile to everyone's face. Pop sat by the fire, his hand resting on my head. He looked healthier, stronger, though the shadows in his eyes hadn't fully faded. But there was something new in his gaze, something brighter. He leaned down, his forehead resting gently against mine.
You saved me, Mojo.
He whispered, his voice thick with gratitude.
I don't know where I'd be without you. Merry Christmas.
You saved yourself, Pop, I wanted to say. I just reminded you how much you're loved. Melly sat perched on the armrest of the couch, watching us with a satisfied smile.
Not bad for a big guy, huh? Huh?
She teased.
Guess you'll do.
Bob chuckled, his hand reaching out to scratch behind her tiny ears.
Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
He said softly, his voice full of meaning. The room fell quiet for a moment. The only sound the crackling of the fire. Pop's family sat around him, their love palpable, their presence a reminder of what truly mattered.
Mojo,
Pop said suddenly, his eyes meeting mine.
this year, bright spot in the universe. This year is going to be better. For all of us.
I barked softly in agreement, my heart swelling with pride and love. Melly nodded, her wise little eyes shining. And as the night wore on, with the warmth of the fire and the sound of Pop's laughter filling the room, I realized something. Love and connection weren't just about surviving. They were about living. They were about fighting for each other, no matter how hard the journey. We had faced the darkness together, and we had found the light. And as long as we had each other, we could face anything.